In the decades prior to this, in the 60s and 70s, the feminist movement gave new momentum to studies of the body, as did non-verbal communication, in celebrating this whole biological sort of womanhood. And yet the rest of women's repertoire of physical behaviors and movements received very little attention. And Young was among the first to investigate movement as one of the specific propensities of female physicality. And Chandralekha turned her attention instead onto the body itself as a subject of expression. Known for her work with the spine, Chandralekha sought to expose movement through the stillness of the body.
I'm Chinese, but I somehow like very much Indian clothes, you know. So I bought not just one, I bought also a very champagne. I really love champagne. I also bought yellow. I thought this is very Indian. It would make me very Indian indeed. So I thought, oh, what would it mean, you know, for a Chinese fella from Singapore to be wearing Indian clothes in India? I mean, and I bought also women clothes. It's not just men clothes, because my small size I can't fit into, you know, big men clothes. And so what would people in India think when I do this kind of corruption, you know, to their tradition, right, to their iconic gear? Then I thought, that's it. I don't care why, specifically because I should say maybe perhaps I'm from Singapore. I've already grown up in a culture which is very multiple, of different cultures and races and languages and histories. So it's come to a point where I stopped thinking about identity. I think in a lot of tendencies in the kinds of discourses that we are producing, or we tend to reproduce, especially in the field of dance, is our notion that transition is from one point to another point. You know, one point. And the transition is what happens kind of in between. And therein, of course, also movement is inscribed, right? So what I would like to propose also then is that we are not talking about identity, but we are talking in today's global situation, especially myself. I was born in the 70s, and I've seen, you know, in a way, a certain passage through, you know, what is analog world into a digital world, right? So I would say myself, I believe more in identifications.
Somehow there are these contradictions within the environment from where you draw your identity, which perhaps makes it difficult for a person to actually describe the sources and the nature of his or her various identities.
Clearly you could see from her dance language she was both African trained and also Western trained. And that kind of shifts, right, as we were going through frame by frame, was what fascinated.
Broke the frame of the body that Levi Riefenstahl and his contemporaries framed and celebrated just before Deren came in the scene. For her, the body was the supreme and meant to be celebrated. But we are watching the film when getting into the frame is the dominant aesthetics. So we are watching the films in a different aesthetics. Camera as a performer, a body, an youthful and agile body that we see in More Than Bread.